place to be is living free in Tennessee.
Okay, it says we're live. My phone even said we're live. So, today is Friday. At least it should be. And it's, I don't know, sometime in 2025. I have no idea what the actual date is. This says episode number 1007. Is that right? I don't know if that's right. Doesn't seem right to me. I don't know. Might be right. Anyway, so cool. Pip and I says 5x5. So sounds like everything's good. I am on my laptop, which is really, really old. So if the audio is wonky, just put something in like all caps in the comments and I should see it. But anyway, real quick to get through sponsors for today. First is Agris Tax Advice. If you want a reason to know why you should be using Matt to reduce your tax load, just go turn the news on. So he's pretty legit on helping people like us reduce our tax load. So we've got him, and then we've also got Discount Mylar Bags. Interesting story with that one that you probably never heard before. I was around when Nicole had her first bags. I was also here when she set up the first commercial roaster, and we set it up on our front porch. She played around with it for a little bit, figuring out, how to do everything. Got a couple of okay batches of coffee, and so she just gave it to me to, for helping her get the roaster set up. So I threw it in my sea bag and flew back to my parents' house, opened my sea bag up, and was like, oh, that's cool. It smells like coffee. Apparently it smelled like coffee because all of the bags had busted open and all of the coffee beans were in the bottom of my sea bag. So I wound up just scooping all of that into a 1-gallon Ziploc bag. And I drank that for a while until she finally sent me some fresh coffee, because she found out that I was drinking coffee that was like, 6-8 months old. But after that, she wound up getting up with Discount Mylar Bags to get the bags that she has now, which are far, far better. And they come in bulk. So just a cool little story that you might not have heard before. But anyway, I'm still trying to figure out. I've got notes that are on my phone just so that I have something to go off of, and I can't really figure out where to put my phone. So anyway, so Nicole is obviously not here. She decided she was going to head south for the winter, where it's apparently 4 degrees warmer than it is here. So apparently that didn't work out too well for her, trying to run from Jack Frost. But anyway, I'm kind of running things I am running things by myself right now, and so trying to remember all of the stuff and things, and drip the faucets, which I did not remember to do in her house. In the cabin where I'm at, it's not as much of an issue because I've got a space heater, and there's 5 foot of pipe that's above the ground, and there's a heater right there, so it's usually not an issue for the cabin. But up here there's 8-10 foot of pipe that go through an unheated part of the house. And so I came up this morning to make milk for the bottle babies, and turned the faucet on, and water came out for about 2.5 seconds. It's like, I know exactly where this is frozen at. And it's usually a royal pain. Fortunately, I got in there and I took my temp gun in with me and shot temps across the pipe, and it was not frozen all the way across, but there is a section where like it comes through the cinder block wall and then it's pushed up against the other side of the cinder block wall, and everything that was touching cinder block was frozen. So I pulled it off and kind of hooked it around another pipe so that it wasn't touching the cinder block, and then I just laid my heat gun on the ground pointed up underneath that pipe and just left it there for a little bit while I was running around doing other stuff. And eventually it just kind of, that, and then, running the heat gun down back and forth across the pipe a couple of times, and it unfroze relatively quickly. So that was very nice that it did not take me 5 hours to get that unfrozen. And then, of course, there's, this is our second deep freeze. I don't know what we actually went down to last night, like supposed to be 10 or something like that. It was definitely cold. Like, I walked out yesterday morning for about 10 minutes and my hands were just throbbing. And unlike the last deep freeze that we had, where there was a wood rack in her house that was completely stacked with firewood, there's not that this time. So I, grabbed an armful of wood last night, and then this morning I've gotten, I think, 3 armloads of wood brought inside. And in the cabin, I burnt through all of my stuff that I had in the house during the last deep freeze, but I had moved a bunch more in. So I had enough in there that it'll get me through this freeze in a couple of more days. Well, maybe not a couple of more days, maybe like another day or two. So I also need to get wood brought back into the cabin as well. So, there's that aspect. She does have like the a mini split in here. So there's the possibility I could kick that on. I'm trying not to have to do that. Chestnut would really prefer me not to do that, because Chestnut is currently laying with her head about, 10 inches from the stove. And then when I walked up this morning, like, Chestnut was sitting on a blanket by the stove, whining and protest that the stove was basically out. And she was not really happy about that little fact. So we got it going, and both dogs laid down by the stove once it was going again. So that made both of them happy. Chestnut, yes, she is a dog, but Chestnut is like, 45 pounds of muscle, 3 pounds of bone, and about 6 ounces of fur. So she just doesn't like the cold. I don't really blame her, because, I'm 6'4" and 145 pounds, so I don't do well in the cold either. So anyway, there's that. And I'm trying to keep 2 fires going. And also with, we've gotten, what do we get? We get snow twice in that last one, I think. It was a good amount. It was 4 inches. And fortunately, the road didn't hold it. The road had enough residual heat that it melted pretty quick. And then this one, the other day, we got an excessive amount of rain in a very short period of time. And there was a bunch of stuff that washed out. And on top of that, it snowed again. So now we've got, even more water that's, a lot of it's already melted, but all that water is going on the ground. We've got kind of a path that goes around the house, and that's usually the route we'll use to offload feed because we got the shed up towards the top, and we just picked up the new duck feed, which I'll try to remember to get into that in a minute. But I pulled up there, and we've had some other people that have been coming to do some other stuff, and they've been pulling around that way. And so I was like, okay, it's apparently solid enough. And so I went to drive around that way and got down to where you've got to make basically a 90-degree left-hand turn around a swale and had zero steering. Like, did not matter what you did. Turn the wheel any which way, any direction, and there's absolutely zero steering. And then, of course, pointed downhill, I couldn't go backwards either. This is also an area where, like, yes, there's some grass over there, but it's also really shaded over there, so it's not really great grass, and it's been dead for a while, so it's just a straight mudslide. So we tried yanking it with the four-wheel drive four-wheeler, which did absolutely nothing. And then wound up leaving the truck sitting there for like 2 days. And it's still, just straight mud slick over there. And I finally pulled the Jeep up there and was like, hopefully I'm not going to get the Jeep stuck too. And it took, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 attempts I was basically using the Jeep to snatch the truck, which is where you kind of get somewhat of a running start and you get that initial pulse of the strap yanking tight. And I managed to get the truck backed up about 7 or 8 feet. And kind of at an angle enough that I kind of tried to pull forward a little bit. The steering responded, so I managed to just hook the truck all the way to the left and was just like, screw it, and drove over the end of the swale. So I've still got to go back over there. I'm sure that I'm going to need to take a shovel and like fix the end of the swale because I'm sure that it, crushed a bunch of stuff in. But I did manage to miss the tree that was at the end. So we had that going on. I did manage to get the Jeep back out the same direction I came in, which actually took a little bit of maneuvering. I have not replaced the tires on that thing yet because other reasons, but that's starting to get kind of high on my priority list. Tires are very important when it comes to that kind of thing. But anyway, we also got Nicole pulled out a bunch of stuff that was mostly just like leftover stews and stuff that was in the freezer. And it's packaged in enough of a quantity that it's enough for me to eat by myself and be enough food for me. And the fact that it's mostly like stews and stuff, what I've been doing is, well, yesterday and today, basically just dump that out of the container into a pot, set the pot on the wood stove, let it heat up a little bit, and then if I need to, I can throw it on the actual electric stove in the cabin, heat it up the rest of the way, and then that's a quick, easy lunch. And then make dinner from scratch, basically. So that's worked out so far. I think there's one or two more of those in the fridge. So we'll see how far that gets me. I've also got the bacon that's in the fridge. So I've got to remember not only to flip the bacon that's in my fridge, but I think there's also bacon in her fridge that also needs to get flipped. So I'm going to have to try to remember to do that later today. She's also got on here seed roulette update. Dropped to 8. So Nicole seeded some peas. We'll check in on the radishes when she gets home. And the garden bed is covered. So she's got some plastic over the main raised bed we're using right now. It's not the greatest setup in the world. So, like, it'll fill up with water. And so that's got to get dealt with when that happens. So I probably actually need to check that again today. And I know it's still covered because I did see it when I walked by earlier. But I should make sure that that's not like, crushing any of the plants that are in there. And then she's also got a bunch of seed starts in here. So I'm trying to work on integrating that into the evening routine. So I got a question on what kind of a Jeep. I have a 2-door Jeep Cherokee. It's a 99. And I specifically looked for the 2-door because the front doors of the 2-door are a little bit bigger, and being 6'4", not usually having passengers in the truck, was like, yeah, I want the bigger door just because it's easier to get in and out of. So it's been a great little Jeep. I'm still throwing a code for the torque converter because the transmission fluid when I bought it was nasty, and they did a partial change on that and waiting at least a year before you get the rest of the fluid changed out of that transmission. And it says, sometimes you can put an old tire in between the strap and the towing vehicle and the vehicle you're trying to extract, and it will remove some of the shock of yanking and snatching from that procedure. Yes, I think I might have actually heard that before. That's almost like, it's literally like a redneck version of a snatch strap. A snatch strap is more like a bungee cord than a tow strap. It has a good bit of stretch specifically so that you can get a running start. I have never actually owned a snatch strap. I need to get a new tow strap. I have 2. One of them is trashed, and I want to get a different strap than my good one to put in the Jeep. So I might actually think about getting an actual snatch strap. That seems like a legit idea, especially for something that's going to mostly live in my Jeep and not get, drug out to drag, a log out of the wash or something. So that's actually something that I will think about doing. But yeah, the tire is a decent idea because especially I have not done anything with the rear bumper on my Jeep yet. So there's not a really good hook point to attach a strap. So I literally just used a short, it's probably about a 3-foot strap, and went around the axle and then put a shackle through both loops of that strap so that it didn't cinch tight around the axle and the brake lines. So that's something else that I am looking at rectifying that problem in the very, very near future. So anyway, what else do we have on the list for today? Yes, we have a Nomad stopping by. I have literally next to no information on who is coming, but apparently they're coming from North Carolina on their way home. Been helping out with stuff out that way, so I'll be interested to see what they have to say as far as like what things are looking like in that region nowadays. But they're going to be stopping by for a couple of days, crash here, help out, do whatever. So that'll be interesting. They do have a dog with them, so we'll probably stick them over at base camp they've got a van that they're staying in. So we'll get them set up all right and proper over there. And that way it makes dog logistics a little bit easier. So be interested to see what comes of that. Probably be talking about that next week on the Friday show, just how everything plays out with that. And kind of an update with the bottle babies. I don't know if Nicole threw that video up or not, but I did get a quick video the other day when I went up to give the babies a bottle the other night, and everybody was camped out at the top of the hill. And what we've got set up right now is we cleaned out part of the barn and put some more bedding back down. And then the paddock that's around the barn, I configured in a different way this time, so that they've got basically a small strip that goes to the paddock above that one. So they have the barn, that strip, and the top paddock above that. And so I think last night they probably spent most of the night in the barn. The night before that, they spent part of the night in the barn, at least. But then, like this morning, when I went over, everybody was about 3/4 of the way up the hill, just like chilling in the sun, which, I walked up there to give babies the bottle and was like, yeah, that's pretty legit decision to be chilling up here, because as long as the wind's not blowing too terribly hard, like sun shining, no clouds, like it's actually kind of warm up here. Definitely a lot warmer than it is down at the barn, which is a lot more shaded. But anyway, aside from those 2 nights, they've been hanging out all the way at the top. And I've kind of got, like, for whatever reason, when I first started off with these two, I was like, hey, buddy. And one of them actually kind of started responding to that. So I was like, okay, we're going full in with it. Both of you are now named Buddy. So one of the times that I went over there, like the one came over to get the bottle and I just kept saying Buddy. It's like, hey, buddy. Hi, buddy. God, buddy. And I just said Buddy over and over and over again. And apparently that has been embedded into his brain now. So last night I went up and they were all kind of bedded down, and I just sat there and was like, where's my buddy? And he got up, came over, and just immediately starts, sucking down milk. And it's convenient to be able to get them to come out of the flock like that, because anytime that you take anything over there, it doesn't matter if it's a piece of wood or a chunk of meat for the dogs. Like, if you're carrying something, the sheep are like, oh, is that food? And they want to come over and stick their nose in it. So when you take a bottle over for the baby and one of the moms decides she wants to investigate, it spooks the baby off and the baby moves off, and it just makes it difficult to feed them. So if I can get the babies to come out and away from everybody else, it just makes that whole process a little bit easier. But we got them down to 2 bottles a day right now. So we're doing roughly about 8 and 8. So it's a little bit irritating just because, sunset is roughly I don't know what it actually is, like 5:30-ish right now, which means sometime about 4:15, depending on what all I have to do, is about when I'm going to go put the sheep to bed. And I always try to give myself at least an hour buffer in that in case something goes wrong. So right now it's like get up in the morning, come up here, get a bottle ready, go over there, give them a bottle, do whatever throughout the day, and then at night get them put to bed, come back over here, get everybody else put to bed, eat dinner, heat a bottle, and go back over there. And last night was just getting on the four-wheeler last night was brutal. This morning wasn't horrible, but last night it was just like, yeah, 3 layers on my face, and my face was still throbbing. So I will be very, very happy when we get these two weaned. Which the bigger one out of the two, he's nursing off of somebody. I don't know who. I know he's still nursing off of mom some, and at least once I've watched him, like, one of the other moms got up to let her babies nurse, and he just jumped right in and was like, nope, mine. And finally, like, I guess got enough, and he went off, and the other baby from that mom was able to get in there and get something. But I'm not sure how much he's doing that. But the little one, when I give him a bottle, he's normally sucking down, I don't know, just say 10 to 14 ounces. The bigger one, I mean, the most he's going to suck down is like 6 ounces. So he's definitely getting milk from somebody else. Hey, Mario. How's the rocket test? Y'all still having fun with that? But anyway, so I'm really hoping to get them weaned soon, and then like I need to actually have a conversation with Nicole, like with the way the paddock's set up right now, might be trying to split everybody else before we move them back over into the normal paddock rotation, just because I think it'll be easier to do with everybody at the barn. So anyway, second launch will happen this spring. Yeah. Good luck with that one this spring. Might be next spring. One after that. Or the one after that. We'll see. But anyway, rabbits. Yeah. So if you're gonna build rabbit cages, put something in between. Just saying. Bred rabbits. No babies. Then, like, a month later, did not pull the nesting box out. And so, like, a month later, there's dead baby rabbits in the nesting box. So that definitely did not come from when we bred said rabbit. Apparently, they were able to seal the deal being in separate cages right next to each other. So, yeah, I gotta figure out something, like either just having a completely separate cage for the male and or males, or like we need to put some kind of like a metal plate in between those cages or something. Not really sure yet. Haven't really had much time to think about that, but also kind of just trying to maintain what we have as far as the rabbits goes until we get through all of this deep freeze nonsense, which I am completely over at this point in time. Like, It's one thing if it gets cold and stays cold. It's another thing when you go from it's 2 degrees. Tomorrow it's 70. Okay, it wasn't that dramatic. It was like 10 degrees, and then like 3 days later it was 70. But it's just no ability to acclimatize to anything right now. It's just ridiculous, and I'm over it. But anyway, kind of trying to just stall on doing too much of anything with the rabbits until we do actually make it through all of this. Stop complaining about 40s. Yeah, I will complain about anything below 60. I'm just saying. Like, I might even complain about 60. If we have average temperatures that are like 95 or 100, I will definitely complain about 60. But I will always complain about anything below 60. And when you get down to actual freezing, like 32 degrees, I can tell as soon as I step outside whether we're below freezing or not. Like, I can just feel it. Oh, yeah, Margot says 62 where they're at. Yeah, I can't wait for us to get back up into the 60s. I did get, this is what is it, minus 33 degrees. This is a merino wool mid layer, and I looked at a bunch of stuff online with various different base layers and saw a lot of dudes and a lot of different kinds of forums that said good stuff about the minus 33. So I'm trying it. I wore this stuff for like basically a week straight the other day, and I've been wearing it for about 3 days now. And so far, I'm liking it. I have no idea how it's going to hold up durability wise, but definitely for next winter, I definitely want to upgrade to some of their heavyweight. They call it an expedition. But the other thing is, if you're a taller dude, like you can't tell with this jacket on, but if I pull this all the way out, like that's about where these hang on my hands just naturally. So with me being tall, like I really like the length on their stuff. So if you're a taller dude and you have problems with it, with size stuff for length, definitely check them out. And we're getting a lot of stuff in the comments about temperatures, and y'all can all just piss off. If you're in warmer temperatures, like 35, 30, what is that? 35 to 99, I'm good above. Well, okay. Yeah, 35 right now. I would actually take 35 right now. I saw a video with somebody like yesterday or the day before, and some global warming people kicking and screaming about like the average temperature is like 1.4 degrees above normal. I'm like, look, I'm voting, it's 19 right now, so I'm voting for like, 41 degrees above normal. Once we start hitting that, let me know. Like, come on, where's all this global warming stuff? Like, I thought we were going to have, like, volcanoes and whatnot, like polar ice caps melting. Everything's frozen. So, yeah, definitely. If you haven't noticed, I'm definitely really looking forward to getting into actual spring. But anyway, that's basically everything that I had on my list of stuff, and I'm trying to think. It seems like there was something else that I did not write down, and now it's gone. But it is warm enough now that the dogs are actually willing to go out. The big one is over here rolling around on her back next to the wood stove, so she's apparently content to be inside right now, but she did enjoy a little bit of time to walk outside right into the sun and plop down and get a little bit of a suntan this morning. So anyway, Texas gets 2 weeks of spring, then summer. Yeah, that sounds about right. Here it varies as well. Right now we're getting the this year we're definitely getting the winter, spring, winter, spring, winter, spring, winter, spring, and then we'll go from winter to summer. So we'll probably go from like 5 degrees to like 92 at some point. I think Farmer's Almanac said something about hot and dry this year, so we'll see. But anyway, guys, yeah, we'll see how everything goes for the next couple of days. Maybe I'll try to shoot a little bit of video over with the sheep or something. But anyway, till next time, guys. Nobody's got anything else. Bye.